name's Cade and I am a student mender here in Canada, and I'll be showing you the life cycle of a book when it's back here in mending. So the very first step is that it's going to come to us on a cart, and this is the cart for assessing, where we diagnose what's wrong with the book. So here's a book that very clearly needs mending. You see the tear in the book cloth. Oop, cover's coming off, the pages are super loose, and I'll go ahead and scan it into Alma, the program we use. And in the program, I'm going to be looking for a few things. I'm going to do a little cost-benefit analysis. So it's had 2 loans and it is committed to retain. So because it has loans and because it's committed to retain, those are signs that we want to put a little bit more work into it than, for example, a book that never gets checked out, or one that we're not going to be keeping for a really long time. And the cost-benefit analysis also comes in because these materials cost money, obviously, so we don't want to put a whole lot of time, energy, and resources into a book if it's never going to get used. You also have to consider whether or not it's still in print and whether or not we could purchase another copy if need be. So I'll go through. We have this whole list of possible things that we could do to the book. And you'll write down the call number, checkouts, all that stuff. And so this person indicated what needs to be done to the book. And then I'll put it back on the cart to be shelved so that the mender who adopts it from the shelves knows what to do and they can take care of the next step. So I'll show you that. Most books that come to us are going to need corners. So as you can see, this book is worn down a little bit on the corner, and corners are just adhesive little pieces of plastic that you can place on the corner just like this to prevent it from wearing down even more. If it's wearing down at all, it can also prevent wear if you put them on early enough, and that's just a very common location for books to have wear. So as you can see, I'll stick it on the front and then I'll fold the sides over, and I'm using this tool called a bone folder to really help smooth it out, get any air bubbles out, make sure that it sticks on for a long while. So that's just one of the things we do. We have a few other types of tape mends. So for example, when a text block is split like that, there's this crack down the center. We can use this type of tape called Easy Bind, which you just peel off a center strip and lay it down very carefully, and this will help, as the name implies, bind the book together really easily and quickly to prevent you from having to do a full rebind, which I will show you an example of in a minute. So I'm now taking off the side strips, and I'll use my bone folder once again to smooth that out and make sure there are no air bubbles. Perfect. And now the book will stay together much better. Other examples of paper glue mends that you might do are document repair tape, which is when pages are torn. You'll take a little bit of this stuff, and there's this very thin clear tape that you can apply to the pages, and that just helps them stay together, prevent further ripping. It's really easy. And you can also glue pages back in if singular pages fall out. So with this book here, this is another very type of incident we see. The text block is coming out from the covers in 2 different ways. So in the back, this part of the book is called the hinge right here, the little divot. And what we do there is we take just a little dot of glue. This is a little tricky. You stick it right in that divot, and then you take a clear rod like this one, and you just poke the glue down in there the best you can. Slide it around, twist it. You do the same on the other side, wherever as needed. And then what you'll do is you'll bind this with rubber bands. You'll put some of these needles in little divots, and you can press it overnight, and the glue should dry by then. Make sure that the text block stays in The other thing that you can do if there's this really severe crack, you can take an X-Acto knife and just very gently cut open and separate the text block from the cover. So now I have this piece of special paper. It's called Japanese paper, that's made of fabric or paper, I guess, that when you work it with glue, it kind of breaks down and becomes clear. And we can use that in a variety of different ways. I'm going to show you what's called internal Japanese paper. So that's when we just cut open the book. I have these extra pages that I'll glue back in afterwards. But what I'll do with this is I'll put a little bit of glue on the spine of my book inside. And there's a special order that you have to do your mends in. I generally start with text block mends, so things between the pages, oops, and then I will go to internal J. At this point, when you can see the spine and you're doing all that, there are sometimes additional mends that you can do, such as headbands. Those are the part of the book. There's like this little piece of cloth, and those just act as extra text block support. The other thing that you can do at this stage of the process is something called cheesecloth, which is this piece of fabric, additional reinforcement to the text block, and you just glue that down, essentially. So now that I've glue spread out, I'm going to put my piece of J paper and smooth it out with a bone folder as well. So once I've applied glue to the J paper, I spread it out like this, and I'll work it until the paper starts to break down its structure. It won't turn entirely clear because I haven't soaked it in water, and I'm only working on one side right now, but eventually it will. So when the J paper dries on the inside of the book, it'll look something like this, nice and clear, and then you put a little bit of linen tape over it for added reinforcement. And the other way that you can use J paper is on the outside of the book, and we call that external J, where you can see the book cloth gets worn down in some places, and we want to prevent that from going further by using this paper. So I tore off a little piece, and what you do is you soak it in water, and then once it's done soaking, you'll put some glue on it, you'll massage it with a paintbrush, until once again the structure breaks down, and it gets like these little spider leg edges, and then you can place it on the book, smooth it out, shape it however you want, and then you apply a few layers of glue over it at intervals in order to help it dry nice and clear, and that'll look something like this. Overall it just blends in. It's got a few layers of glue, and now the book won't keep tearing in all of those places. If the book cloth, particularly on the spine, is in really bad shape, what you do in that case is you make an entirely new spine for the book. So you take the old one off, and you'll put this little pocket on the back. This is just to help the book open up, because if you glue anything directly to the text block, the book won't be able to open. And by that I mean like this, if you glue the spine to the text block. And then we'll make this little piece of book cloth into a new spine. I measured it out, and I put this reinforcing piece of paper here. I added new headbands with a little piece of twisted string under there, and then I decorated it however I want. And some people come up with really creative, really cool designs. And then the next step is to glue this to the book, which when done looks just like this, just like a regular book that you can now use, and it's all attached. You can see the internal J in there as well. Some books need even more help than that, and usually that's because the text block has all of these individual groups of pages called signatures that are falling apart from each other. So usually that means that the string that's holding them together, or the glue in more modern books, is breaking down and tearing. And so in that case, we would do a rebind or a pan bind if it's a pamphlet. So that would look like sewing the book back together, and you can see my little stitches in here. On the inside, it looks like this, and you can see little stitches right there. If books are in really bad condition, we have two options. We can either tie them with string to keep them together, or we can put them in an envelope so that they stay contained but are still usable if anybody wants to check them out. And then once we finish all of our mends, what we'll do is out process them for end processing.